So, hi everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. Today we are going to talk about pAI, the future of agentic wealth, and how it's going to change the way people grow, manage, and interact with their wealth. We have a lot to cover, so let's start. A bit about, switch back, not to agenda, thank you. A bit about myself. My name is Mo, and I'm one of the co-founders and CPO at BridgeWise. Alongside me here is Or, who leads pAI, or say hello.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining.
And together we will guide you through today's session. In terms of the agenda, we will start by talking a bit about how the market is changing and what's driving that shift. Then we will introduce pAI, and Or will present you a live demo of it. After that, we will leave some room at the end for questions that I guess will come up during the session. You can leave questions in the chat, and we'll get to them by the end of the session. So, with that framing in mind, let's jump in. One slide, thank you. Okay, so let's start with some market context. Basically, there are two forces moving in opposite directions, and both are highly relevant to our discussion today. On one side, there is the growth. The retail investor market has grown dramatically by nearly 300% since 2017. If you guys remember in 2017, when Bitcoin reached $60,000 for the first time, every taxi driver you met told you that he bought a Bitcoin and you should do it too. Remember that? I bet you do. Then a few years later, we had COVID in 2021 that put everyone locked at their homes with their phones with easy access to the market, while giants like Pfizer, AstraZeneca, and Moderna were racing to develop the COVID vaccine. Then also in 2020, we had the famous GameStop rally where the market went crazy. And last but not least, we have the current AI boom that started somewhere at late 22 and it's still rolling until today. Okay, so what basically I'm trying to say? I'm trying to say that there were many events during the recent couple of years that brought a lot of new money and a lot of new investors into the market, which is very promising. But on the other side, there is a loyalty challenge. According to recent research, around 60% of traders say that they are willing to switch brokers if they will find a better platform. So why is it happening? Why 60% have no issue switching platforms? The answer? Because the switching costs are extremely low. For users, leaving a platform doesn't really come with any dramatic downside or risk. The bottom line, they feel they have nothing to lose. Now, if we want to go even deeper, we need first to understand the reality of those investors. Investors live in a constant tension between the pressure to participate in the market and the fear of making the wrong move. They want to act, but the fear of making the wrong decision hold them back. So what those users really want, or to be more accurate, what do they need? They need personalized, proactive guidance. They do not expect only to get a platform to execute straight on, but they need someone to be in their corner, telling them what to do and why they should do it. And if that expectation isn't met, the result is pretty much predictable. They will stay with a very little reason to remain loyal. So what will make those users loyal? The answer is personalization. With true personalization, you can unlock three things. The first, trust. When a recommendation is in context and relevant, it builds confidence because it feels like the recommendation is to the point and this was specifically designed for me. And that experience, that builds confidence. And that confidence builds loyalty. The second one is proactive guidance. Loyalty grows significantly when users feel that the platform is actively helping them and not just reaching out. Personalized and proactive content plays a huge role here. It's increased the user trust, and as we said, trust is what builds loyalty. And last, but definitely not least, emotional connection. When users feel seen and understood, the platform stops from being a place to execute trade-ons and start to be their colleague, their friend. And that's what makes a real bonding. So as we can see, personalization feeds all three: trust, proactive guidance, and emotional connections. And all three builds loyalty. Bottom line, the moment the investors feel that you actually know them, that's when you have them. So if personalization is the answer, why hasn't anyone solved it yet? So there are three candidates that can or could have solved it. First will be robo-advisors. But the challenge with robo-advisors is that they are not truly personalized. They segment. Some people may call it personalization, but in reality, it's mostly a set of generic rules that place investors into predefined buckets. Don't get me wrong, robo-advisors are highly efficient from an operational perspective, the business side perspective, but they don't really offer a real personalized experience to the end users. Basically, they are optimized for the B side and not for the C side in terms of experience. The second, generic LLM models. Well, generic LLMs are incredibly powerful tools. Nobody can argue with that. But in our industry, you cannot simply take a generic model, add a bit of prompt engineering on the top, and bring it into the market. The compliance team will eat you alive. So while LLM are amazing as a technology layer, companies in our field will struggle to turn them into a compliant and a reliable production-ready products. So maybe the answer is to build it yourself. In short, the answer is no. And the reason for that, to be honest, is pretty straightforward. If you decide to build it yourself, you already lost the race. What you see on the surface is only the tip of the iceberg. Behind products like that, like pAI, there is an entire ecosystem, a massive data infrastructures, AI systems, compliance frameworks, personalization engines, and of course, an ongoing model training. Not only that it takes years to build it, it takes huge amount of effort to maintain it. And while you are building the market keep moving. Look, there are things that you want to build, and there are things that you need to buy. Therefore, we have built it, so you don't have to. Today, we are introducing the shift that enabled that whole new reality, Agentic Wealth, a regulated finance-native agent that personalize and proactively manage every investor's portfolio continuously at any scale. This is exactly what we have built. So what actually makes pAI different from all other agentic technologies out there? Well, it's the intelligence behind it. pAI runs on the BridgeWise proprietary intelligence layer built from 4 different data categories, all of them working together. First, structured data. BridgeWise is built one of the largest financial intelligence corpus in the industry, covering everything from stocks and ETF to funds, bonds, and more. We are covering more than 70,000 assets worldwide, each has everything in it. Start from a final buy, hold, or sell recommendation up to a deep 360 financial analysis. All of that is generated by a proprietary supervised model that was built specifically for the capital market. The second, unstructured data. Every single day, we process massive amount of unstructured financial content, including annual reports, company presentation, earning call, and others. And on top of that, we apply a sentiment analysis layer, also powered by BridgeWise proprietary NLP models. So pAI is continuously fed not only with the raw information itself, but also with the sentiment and the tone behind it. The third will be the alternative data. Until now, we talked mostly about numbers and professional financial data, but market, as we know, do not move on numbers alone. They move on interpretation and perception of the market. That's what pAI is continuously analyzing sentiments across news, Twitter, Reddit, financial podcasts, and all other relevant sources to understand not just the financial perspective, but also how the market reacts to it. And lastly, behavioral data. Today at BridgeWise, we serve more than 30 million investors worldwide, what gives us unique insights into users' behavior. What content users engage with, how they react to it, and what ultimately drives them to take an action. These are highly unique data points that are incredibly important for building valuable personalized experiences. All of this together is the intelligence layer behind pAI. And most importantly, we build that infrastructure so every output is fully auditable and compliant. Nothing here is a black box. Every action, recommendation, or insight generated by pAI is explainable, traced, and validated. Guys, we did not just build a better infrastructure. We built the technology to give 100 million investors 100 million advisors. So what does it actually mean to give 100 million investors 100 million advisors? Or more importantly, what does it mean for your business? Personalization at scale really comes down into 2 things. The first, the personalization itself. From a pure business perspective, advised users generate nearly 10 times higher LTV compared to non-advised users. Why is that? Because advised users simply stay longer. Their lifespan is roughly three times higher, and their ARPU, the average revenue per user, is around 3.5 times higher. If I have to summarize the reason for that into one word, I believe that you can guess already, but it would be loyalty. When users feel personally understood, they become more engaged and more connected to the platform. They simply stay longer. This is the lifespan part in the LTV. And because they trust on the entity who is guiding them, they gain the confidence to make those financial decisions that they would otherwise hesitate to make, which is basically the ARPU lift. And it's not only about making more trades. Usually, advised users also end up using more of the services the brand have to offer, simply because they feel more connected and loyal to the brand. So after understanding the personalization, the LTV part, let's talk about the second one, the scale. Before pAI, the only real way to deliver true personalization was through human advisors. But human advisors are naturally limited, both in how many clients they can manage and in how cost-effective the model can be. With pAI, personalization is no longer limited by human capacity. The number of users who can receive personalized financial guidance become basically unlimited, and the cost just a portion of a traditional advisory model. So in reality, you get both sides of the equation. A deep personalization that drives LTV delivered at a massive scale at the minimal portion of the cost. And with that, I will hand it to Or, our product lead for pAI, who is going to show you what true personalized wealth journeys actually looks like. Thank you.
Hello, everyone, and thank you very much for joining today. I'm super excited to be here. So before we jump into the demo, let me quickly walk you through how pAI actually works. So at its core, pAI operates in a continuous agentic loop. Know, build, rebalance, optimize, and learn. 5 stages constantly working together. First, we have the know. This is really the foundation of personalization. Before pAI does anything, it first gets to know the investor. The risk aversion and time horizon, investment preferences and interests, engagement style and engagement time, everything that help understand who they really are. And then comes the build. Once pAI understand the investor and get to know him, it builds a portfolio from scratch, fully personalized to that specific user, while still aligning with your institution investment policies, rules, and constraints. Then we move into the rebalance and optimize, and these two really work together. Market constantly change and investors change with them. So pAI continuously monitor portfolios 24/7, making sure they stay aligned with each investor goals and risk profile. That's the rebalance side. At the same time, pAI is always on looking for better opportunities to improve performance. This is the optimization side. And before making any recommendation, pAI calculates the actual cost of taking an action, including taxation, fees, and timing, to make sure recommendations happen only when they truly make sense. Together, these two layers create continuous long-term value for the investor. And that's what transforms casual users into deeply engaged long-term users who keep coming to your platform, addressing the loyalty struggle that Mo just talked about. And finally, we have the learn. Every interaction becomes another signal. What recommendation user act on, what content they engage with, what question they ask, all of those feed pAI engine. And that's really the power of the entire loop. And now, instead of just talking, let's jump into the demo. And if you have any question during the session, please drop them into the chat. So I will move to my phone. All right, so this is the demo that we built for you for the webinar. So starting with the new customer, all right. So pAI is starting with a short introduction, all right. And by the way, like everything that you will see here is fully customized to your look and feel and will be embedded in your application. And it will feel like your brand, your theme and everything. And about the investment strategy, everything will be rely on your policies and your strategies and your constraints and rules. So let's start. So pAI is asking with the simple question about how much would you like to invest? And by the way, this amount will be validated versus the actual available trading balance of the user. And the investment amount is not only about how much will I spend and how much position will I buy and how much unit for each position and stuff. It also affects the diversification of the portfolio. So let's take an example. Mor and I are exactly the same risk profile and also have exactly the same preferences. However, Mor is about to build a portfolio with $1 million and I only 100K US dollar. So we'll get the same asset allocation, but the asset pick will be different, and Mor will get more diverse portfolio because he have more money to invest in. Okay, so the AUM is also affecting the asset picking and the diversification alongside with what we just talked about. All right, so continuing with the risk aversion questions, okay, and those again relies on your internal risk models. They also can rely on BridgeWise risk models, but usually like banks, financial institutions have their own. All right, so pAI is asking, would like to understand what is the risk profile of the user. Now he's asking about the time horizon. How much would you like to invest? For how long would you like to invest? Sorry. And those questions will finally define my risk profile. And now we are moving into the personalization part. So now pAI is asking, what is your investment preferences? What is your investment interest? What you like? This is super important in terms of personalization and also in terms of in the emotional connection. So if I'm connected with AI, I would like to invest in AI. So when I will get recommendation that prefer AI assets, so I will get more connected with, which will allow me to get more engaged and recommendation to be more converted. All right, so I like AI, finance, and also healthcare. Super important for me. So moving forward, now pAI is asking, how would you like to be engaged? You would like to get only like the bottom line, what is, only the compliant part. What is the bottom line? What I need to do? Or you would like to get super detailed recommendation that will help you to get more trusted with pAI. Okay, you don't have like full 100% trust in the beginning, and you need to build this trust. So no problem. You will get detailed recommendation in each part. You will get the whole rationale and the whole story behind it. All right, so I'm somewhere in the middle. I would like to get detailed, but not too much. All right, so I'm choosing balanced. And this one is super important. So now pAI is asking, when would you like to be engaged and why this one is important? In the traditional investment advisory, one of the biggest issues and struggle of the human advisors is that their availability is usually not coming across with the investor, because the advisor is working 9 till 5, let's say 6, but the investor in that time he's in work, and he don't have free time to get the recommendation and optimization opportunities, whatever. I don't have the time. So this never came across, and the conversion is low, and the engagement is getting a lot of friction. So with AI, we don't have this issue. So AI is available 24/7. So pAI is asking when. So I would like to get engaged only after 8 and up to 11. All right, confirm. So now pAI is summarizing my profile, okay, my preferences. I can edit it for sure, but once I'm approving it, pAI is going and building and generating the relevant portfolio that will fit my risk, my preferences as much as it can, but also to the right point of time. And why this is matter? Because let's say, and also, by the way, the AUM level. Let's again take Mor and myself, but in that specific, let's say that Mor and I are the same risk, the same preferences exactly, but also the same AUM. So maybe we have the same asset allocation, and also the diversification should be the same. But I onboarded with pAI today, okay, and pAI built me a portfolio today. But for Mor will come across pAI only in a month, and by then the market is getting changed. So maybe some of the assets that I got recommended on already reached their price target, and maybe the sentiment went a bit lower. So I don't need to sell them, but more will not get them, more will get different assets. Okay, so the personalization is coming across, is alongside also with the relevant point in time. So now pAI is presenting me the portfolio asset allocation. And here I'm clicking on the static description, and here the pAI explains me the why behind the what. All right, so this is also important in matter of compliance, but also in a matter of building the trust with the user. And now I'm asking to review the position before I'm executing them. So here I can see all of the positions that pAI is recommending me to buy. And as we saw, we have the rationale, we have the strategy description for the whole portfolio, but we also have a rationale per asset. So this is all nice. Oh, I love what I see. But I don't that like JP Morgan. So let's switch it. If there are JP Morgan guys in the audience, so sorry for that. So I'm selecting Goldman Sachs. Would like to replace. All right, so now I'm proving. By the way, this is still keeping, like all of the alternatives that pAI is suggesting me, is still keeping me aligned with my risk profile. All right, so like the top pick that pAI recommended is JP Morgan, but if I don't feel that connected, I would like to replace it. Okay, no problem, it's fine. All right, so now you can see the final stage before sending all of the orders to the market. So you can see everything here. The user can, play with the distribution between the different assets, but also this like in certain borders, like, all right? So it cannot like change it fully. All right, send to execution. And now all of the orders will be sent to the market. And now pAI is moving to pending state mode and waiting for getting feedbacks about all of those orders. Okay, well, we want to get everything to be executed, right? And then the user will be right on track. But, life and some of the orders might be partially executed, some might be expired, failed. And then when this happens, so pAI will need to recalculate and rebalance your portfolio mainly. All right. So before moving on to rebalance and optimization, now what we saw is about a new investor, right? Up until now, he didn't was in the capital market. Okay, he was a customer of your institution, but he didn't like he had some funds in deposits, or I don't know, like in checking account and stuff, maybe outside the bank. So this is like totally new investor in capital market, not advised. But we have additional two segments, right? We have additional segment that is an investor that is not advised, okay? Already have assets, okay? So for sure, pAI is covering this also, right? In that specific case, what will happen that this investor that is not advised yet will go all of the onboarding part, and in the portfolio building and portfolio construction, what will happen that pAI will now take into consideration already the existing positions. And then he might tell the user to sell some and to buy other, okay, kind of rebalance, but rebalance for a new portfolio, that advised portfolio. Okay, so pAI is covering also this segment. And last segment, that the advised investors, okay, the investors that already advised by an advisor. So this segment also can be moved and transferred into pAI. Okay, and how? We already have all of the data about it. Okay, we already have an profile. pAI might ask him to, if we don't have the preferences and stuff, so pAI might engage with this specific user, and we'll ask him to get the engagement preferences, investment preferences, and everything. We get to know him better. But the portfolio is already exist, right? And then it will move to pAI umbrella, and pAI will keep him optimized, balanced, and stuff. So as I said, pAI covering all of these different segments. All right, so moving on into the continuous part. So we have an advised investor under pAI, and now because of market drifts, okay, so the user needs to rebalance his portfolio, okay? So pAI will get a trigger that one portfolio is not balanced now. You will send a push notification via your platform for sure. The user clicks on it, and then the user see what happened. Okay, what happened, why it happened, and what's need to be done. In this specific case, okay, I'm super risky profile, okay, and the asset allocation needs to be a lot exposed to stocks. However, it needs to be exposed to stock up to 85%, all right? But because of market change, okay, and stock rally, so I went too exposed to stocks, okay? So now pAI is telling me, sell some NVIDIA and buy some AGG in order to reduce equity exposure and increase bonds exposure to balance your portfolio. So again, I can say why, okay? Why this, what I need to do, all right? Like, and now accept and confirm. And what happened now is that we have like sell order and buy order, right? So if the user have enough available trading balance, so we can send the orders in parallel, okay? Also the sell and also the buy. But if the user don't have enough balance to also buy the assets, okay, we need to first wait for the sell to be executed, and only when the trading balance is available, then we can send the buy order, okay? So we know how to manage the dependencies and the timing between the different orders. So rebalance, as we said, like is about getting you back into your risk track, okay? But we also have the optimization, okay? And optimization is about looking for better opportunities to improve your portfolio return. And about the optimization, we also have a level of segmentation, all right? Because let's take like two different risk profile, okay? Low risk profile with mid AUM and high risk profile with high AUM. But in the high risk profile with high AUM, we also have a segment, like a sub-segment that is kind of traders, swapper, waiting, looking for better opportunities to improve performance. So with this segment, we would like to engage more with optimization opportunity because he's looking for that. He's engaged when he's get optimization recommendation. He's usually click on them, look on them. This is, by the way, also the learn part, all right? We know how to segment the users better and to get like a deeper profile on them. So we know he like to get those kind of engagement. So in this specific segment, we might engage with optimization opportunities once a week, twice a week, for sure, only if we identified a better optimization opportunity. And by the way, I didn't say it, I said it before, but the optimization is also taking into consideration the taxation and the fees and everything, all right? Before he's generating the recommendation. All right, and the other segment, the low one, we might engage with them once a month. So again, this will rely on your rules, right? Only what you would like to do around it. Okay, so Johnson & Johnson is underperforming, and maybe also the sentiment of Johnson & Johnson is getting lower. So show me the swap. All right, so I have two opportunities for you. So the top pick is ISRG, but also United Health Group is also a good opportunity. So pAI is also projecting what is the potential return, all right, versus Johnson & Johnson. And I can ask the why, again, to build the trust, but also compliant matter. All right, good for me. Let's pick ISRG, confirm. And then again, the same as rebalance, okay? In case the user have enough available trading balance, we can send all of both orders in parallel. But in case not, first sell, only when executed, buy. So we went over about the know, build, rebalance, optimize. We talked some about the learn. Okay, the learn is embedded actually in each interaction, right? It's starting with the know, then with the build. What am I looking at? What am I converted about? What am I switching? Also rebalance and optimization we talked about. So all of the interaction, like the user can also ask PAI questions, okay? Like why this? Like, and if I have additional free cash, what can I do about it, and so on. So the user can get. So we know and learn the user better with those interactions. So last one is your portfolio hub. Okay, here the user can see all of the portfolio allocation and the investment rationale behind this portfolio and all of the positions for sure. But the user also from here can interact with the recommendation history. Okay, clicking on more history. Here you can see all of the recommendation, all of the engagement that PAI interact with. All right. So rebalance, optimization, idle cache, for example, but all of them, not only those who were done, everything. And you can see the what, you can see the why, and this is also matter in terms of compliance. It's a must, but usually it's it's stuck in an inbox and not reachable for the user and really not nice. But this is also important in terms of experience, to be as much with clarity in front of the user and to build this trust, this super important trust with the user. So this is it. Now we can move to the Q&A.
Yeah, looks good. I'll grab a question from the chat, and let's do ping pong. One question you, one question me, and let's.
Wow, a lot. Wait, I will pick one. I'm reading the question now, so more if you already have one. So
Okay, so I will start. There is a question. Hi, who would be the target customer for pAI? Is the target client wealth manager or private banks, and which are going to be distributed to wealth advisors or to if it's going to be if pAI is for the wealth advisors or the clients?
amazing question.
Yeah, this is the question. So pAI will address both. From user perspective, obviously we can as the demo presented, we reach directly to the end users. So this is why we just presented in the demo, but also pAI can serve financial advisors, basically transform them in kind of bionic advisors. So will just become better. They will provide better quality of service because they will have more personalized content of the client. pAI will interact with the end users as we saw now, but the data will be gathered and delivered to the advisors on the back. Also including the conversation. So not only the interactions, not only if someone place an order, didn't place an order, switch asset, rejects asset, will gather the data. Also the discussion that exists that the user is interacting with Bridget. After hours, for example, as Or mentioned, that it's also a real pain. And it will aggregate everything for the advisor. So if you want to be prepared to a meeting, so do some preparation before the meeting, everything will be there, summarized to the point. So this in terms of the quality, also better service. Because of that, it will give extra time for the advisor to focus on more high-value clients relative to his group, because group of customers, because pAI will expedite his work. All the portfolio management recommendation will be done by pAI, and it will be sent to the advisor. So it will get the data in push and not in pull. We will not need to ask, we will just get it. So this is in terms of the service, and because of those two, it will be even better coverage. So we'll be able to address more clients, to support in more clients, if we are talking on the financial advisors angle. So from one side, the advisors will be empowered, but also from user perspective, we're lowering the bar dramatically. So we will enable the advisory experiences for also the non-current advisable users, the ones with the low AUM, where the masses are. So this is the how it supports the users and the financial advisors.
Exactly. Amazing. So I will take this one. So client says 10 years investment horizon and don't take life happens into account. and make ad hoc withdrawal or complete risk changes, how this is managed in the system. So, okay, so the investment time horizon is about right now, okay, but as you mentioned, yes, life happened. And there was like, first, by the way, pAI can manage also goals, all right? So if the user will tell pAI that we'd like to withdraw X money to his daughter wedding, okay, in 1 year, he will know how to manage it. But also if life happen and then the user needs to withdraw funds from the portfolio immediately, okay, so he's telling pAI, which asset should I sell? And then pAI will analyze the question and analyze the portfolio and the current situation in the market, and then we'll tell him what to sell. Again, taking into consideration the taxation and fees and everything about it. And also like ad hoc changes in risks. So in case something change in the user life, okay, again, he's update pAI about it. So, and then maybe pAI will suggest him to change his risk profile. For example, another like first daughter, first son, never mind, like baby born. So in that case, you might do some changes, all right? Or you are getting earlier to your retirement, all right? And then you need to be less exposed to stocks, for example. Okay, you need to reduce risk. Okay, so this is all of the relationship with pAI is continuously, also ad hocs and also pre preparations and plans that the user know how to prepare to. More?
Okay. How often is the client expected to engage with the AI? Daily, weekly, monthly? So basically, Bridget is there 24/7, so the user can engage with pAI whenever he wants, 24/7. In terms of when pAI is proactively engaging with the client, it depends on client's, I would say, configuration or needs. If he wants to interact in short cycles daily, it can be done. But also only if there is a valuable content to deliver to the user. So if you will define daily, but there will be nothing interesting to talk about, so obviously will not engage just because. So in terms of the time frame, daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, totally depends on the user, unless there is a rebalance that need to be done. So the frequency can be shorter. Let's say we defined the monthly and we spoke last week, but now there is a rebalance operations need to be done. So obviously we will reach out, but it's fully configured by the end user.
And by your institution, okay? So as I said, like if you would like to engage with different segments differently, this is something that pAI know how to do. All right, so okay, so highly interesting presentation. I'm interested in the flexibility to adjust pAI to specific regulatory framework. In Germany, for example, you have specific requirement, what specific information you have to ask for profiling the potential. So this is really long one. I suggest like who asked this to let's do like a follow-up session. Super interesting. But in general, pAI, and by the way, BridgeWise is covering assets around the globe and also compliant around the globe. We are operating not only here, we are operating also in Europe and also in APAC and also in Latin America and also in the US. So we can have a follow-up session about it, but generally, yes, we have the ability to be certified on different regions and cover different markets easily, let's say. And Mo, you want to take another one?
Yes, how does pAI support internal research team's recommendation? Okay, so if, for example, there is an internal research recommendation, so for example, there is a conflict. I guess this is what it was meant. We have, I don't know, a buy recommendation in BridgeWise and hold recommendation in the research team of the organization. So obviously, pAI is embedded inside the organization. So all the data that you have internally is exposed into pAI and is taking it into consideration. And it depends on the use case. We can either prioritize one over the other. We might say that we want that both of them will be on the same both on the same direction, or hold and buy it's fine, but not sell and buy, for example. So everything is configurable, and definitely we are taking internal content, internal research into consideration. We do not want to create any conflict in the recommendations. So good question, and yes, we are taking it into account.
Okay, so I'll take this one. When you show the history of recommendation, do you also show what the results are to date for each recommendation, even those the client rejected? So this is depend on you. Okay, we can do it. We can show what if like scenarios. If you were the listen to us, this is what would happen to your portfolio. This is like the profit that you lost, nominal percentage and everything. So yes, this is something that we can do to create this FOMO.
Another question: how quickly can pAI learn and adapt to new user? So obviously at the beginning, divides into two. If it's a new client, so obviously it's part of the onboarding of the know part, as Or mentioned. So we learn the user from a risk appetite perspective, and also first experience of understanding his preference by choosing the relevant themes. And then also Or mentioned that we learn through the process. So every interaction with pAI, either if it's directly from the chat itself when I'm interacting with the chat, or reacting to pAI's recommendation, or even reviewing the report pages in the platform. As I said, we have the behavioral data, so we can see what the users are looking for, where their eyes are going. So I can learn on the things that he's interested on, not only by reacting to pAI recommendation, not only by the discussion with widget, also with the actions that he's doing on the platform. So pAI can relatively quickly adapt. Obviously, it's an ongoing experience, and people are changing, so we are constantly learning the user, and it's an ongoing work, but relatively very fast. The personalization experience come into place. It's from day one.
Exactly. Once the know part onboarding is finished, and then it just pAI is getting improved. So yes. Someone asked, so could you explain how the CIO bank strategy is integrated and configured in the platform, and how the risk model are implemented? So mainly your CIO and strategy team and research team can define, this is something that we also can do, but will define like what is the risk profile. Let's take 10 risk profiles, okay? And for each risk, 10 risk profiles, and also 3 levels of AUM, okay? So in each specific, like we have 10 to 2, 10 to 3. So each specific like cell, okay, 30, you will decide what is the asset allocation, like level 1, level 2, level 3. And what BridgeWise will do, okay, because we are analyzing all of the assets. And by the way, it's important to say that it will be according to your universe, right, and your investment policy. So we will do the asset picking, all right, because we are like point of time, real time, analyzing the assets, okay, the sentiment, fundamentals, everything, prices. And then for each asset, you have a score. So we are doing according to the user profile and AUM level. We are picking the relevant assets that fitting all of the constraints for this specific profile and AUM level. What is the relevant asset? Like the best asset in this specific point in time, okay? And this is also relevant for rebalance and optimization, right? According to your constraints. Again, we can rely on our best practices. We have them. But according to that, we are keeping the user in balance and optimize. Mo, if you would like to add something about it or take another question.
Okay, a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Can institutions fully customize the strategy or behavior of pAI? So definitely yes. As I said, pAI is embedded in the organization as part of the onboarding from integration perspective. We define the risk profiles, and behind that there is a specific asset allocations for each risk profile, also defined together, and all those risk profiles fed into a pAI. So this is from an asset allocation perspective. Also, as I said, we can digest external recommendations or internal from the organization perspective. Also configure the time we will reach out, as Or said, everything basically is configurable. We are trying to create solution that will feel natural on your platform. We are not trying to build something that people will come to us. So everything here is fully customizable in terms of asset allocations, experiences, also the behavior, how pAI is interacting. So if we are focusing for, I don't know, more advanced users, this is the users that we are currently serving as an organization. So we'll make sure that the pAI answers are more deep, more professional. And if it's a platform for more newbie, for more new investors by nature, we'll verify that the experience is attached to that. So they will be correlated.
All right, so I will take another one. So if pAI allows end clients to make changes on their portfolio, will pAI gradually discriminate the relationship manager from her clients? So first, yes, pAI is allowing the end user to do changes they want. All right, so pAI is like advisor, okay, kind of advisor. But the end consent, the end decision is by the user. But if, for example, let's take again like risk profile, high one or maybe low one, but when the user is not acting according to that and buying risk asset and exposing itself to like over stocks, for example. So in that case, pAI will recommend him to do to sell some positions to balance his portfolio. But at the end, the decision is on the end user. And about the question, the second part of this question, will pAI gradually discriminate the relationship manager from her clients? So depends on your institution. Okay, as Mo said, pAI can empower, okay, or maybe to manage and engage all of the low tier, mid tier clients, and to have the RM to make it available only for like high net worth individual, for example. Okay, or he can empower him and then to allow him to serve not 100, 10,000. Okay, so I hope this is addressing the two parts of the question. Or would you like to take another one?
Yes. How do we handle hallucinations in pAI? Okay, this is a good question. pAI build on the BridgeWise or the intelligence data that I presented at the beginning of the session, the structured, unstructured, alternative, and behavioral, and all the data there, it's either raw data, aggregated data, or data that was built based on deterministic machine learning models. Nothing, as I said, nothing is a black box. So also the data that fits pAI is deterministic, and also pAI, when he's doing the rebalancing, the optimization, all that operations are not LLM. Please rebalance the portfolio. Definitely not. The LLM that comes on top is in the experience. So we are taking the structured data, the deterministic data that we have, feed pAI, which is a deterministic model, and the interaction with the end user is basically rely and utilize the LLMs that we know, like Bridget, that make it as a conversational experience, but this is where it starts and this is where it ends. So in terms of hallucination, it's not. We live in the LLM world right now, so every question is around hallucinations, but Pi doesn't belong to that category. I hope it's addressed the question.
So in terms of implementation, someone asked, is the tool is only available on mobile or is it available on desktop app? So both, like also native, web, mobile, desktop. So this is something that can be supported in both platforms. There are a lot of questions about cost and collaboration. So about that, let's take offline and like send us a message in the website, and we'll get back to you, and we'll schedule a follow-up meeting about it. And
I will take one. What safeguards are in place to prevent total losses? Okay, also a good question. So as I said, first of all, we together define the asset allocations per risk profile. So let's assume now we are talking on the most extreme or high risk profile. Still, I guess it will not be pure stocks. But also if it is, let's assume that this is the case, Pi is constantly managing and constantly monitoring the portfolio. So if a disaster is happening in the client portfolio, we constantly monitoring it and raising rebalancing operations in order to prevent it. So it's a managed experiences. It's like having a human advisor. It's something that is manageable, constantly monitoring. We are building it in advance in a way that the portfolio would not be able to experience, I don't know, a full drop of the disaster. It's built it by nature. Obviously, we are working together with you to define the groups, but definitely it's not. This question comes from an algorithmic trading that in crisis you can lose everything. It's totally different experience. This is not what we're trying to do here. We are trying to creating the advisory experiences for non-advised users. This is the angle that Pi is aiming on. All right.
But enhanced, personalized.
Yeah.
So someone asked, how do you avoid overwhelming users with too many recommendations? So this is where actually also your experience with your different customer groups is coming across with our learning, okay, Pi learning. So what I mean here is I talked about it in optimization part. So we will not engage with a lot of optimization recommendation, for example, like rebalance is, once you have rebalance, it needs to be sent to the user. He will decide what to do, but you need to send it. But about optimization and like regular updates, so this will be according to segments and also personalized according to the specific user. So if we see that we're sending a recommendation for a certain user for, I don't know, like certain assets, and he don't click on it, when he click, he never converted to do that, to do an action. So we might consider to do something else. Okay, Pi will learn it, and like, you know, Instagram, like full personalization. So imagine this. So Pi will learn about the interaction. So when something is open, what is more interested, what the user is asking about, and then he would like to, he know how to manage the follow-up interaction. And about the overwhelming, again, if he's not opening any push notification, any recommendation, so we might consider to interact with him less. So I think like more, yeah.
I will take the last one because it's a nice
Sure.
question, and then we'll finalize because we are running out of time.
Yeah.
Why BridgeWise? This is a good question. Look, Pi built on a multi-year preparation. We have developed a lot of things as an infrastructure, as I presented in the presentation, and it's not an overnight product. It's not something that you can build with vibe coding. So you create an experience to build portfolios. There is a lot of things underneath. So we have the data, all the financial intelligence data, structured, unstructured, sentiment, alternative, behavioral, everything needs to fit pAI, because generating a portfolio, it's not a hard task. LLM can do it and you can generate a portfolio, but it needs to be compliant, it needs to be valuable, it needs to be able to, how do you say, avoid the dramatic losses. There should be logic and rationale behind it, and everything rely on data. So this is one, data, compliance, and also enterprise mindset. BridgeWise is fully focused on the enterprises. We provide the level of customizations that we provide in pAI in general, in BridgeWise, is the top-notch experience of customization, because this is our goal. We want to make sure that we're integrating the solutions into your environment and it's fully natural experiences. And the last, I will say, the reputation. BridgeWise is a well-known provider serving more than 100 clients worldwide, all over the globe, with also very reputable investors. So we are in the right time with the right effort that we did for the last couple of years. Everything is basically built for that. So in the right time, at the right moment, and would like to see you as a client of ours. So with that, I will close the session. So thank you very much for joining today. We really appreciate your time. We managed to go on most of the questions, or some of them, but for the ones that we haven't, or if you have other questions that you want us to ask us, please feel free to reach out to the BridgeWise website. You can leave the questions there, and we will definitely reach out to you. And so, guys, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.